Hi, let us talk about the local and global communication in multicultural settings. First, let us define what is local communication. Local communication is being able to communicate with the members of your local area. So it can either be in your local language, your mother tongue, or a common language that you speak within your town. While the global communication is the term used to describe ways to connect, share, relate, and mobilize across geographic, political, economic, and social and cultural divides. Well, definitely, global communication redefines soft and hard power as well as information power and diplomacy in ways not considered by traditional theories of international relations. And talking about the communication itself, we're going to talk about the global community refers to the people or nations of the world considered as being closely connected by modern telecommunications and as being economically, socially, and politically interdependent. And definitely, since we are speaking different language and we have our own versions of communication, be it local one or global one, definitely we should possess cultural awareness. So it is known, or cultural awareness is knowing that there are multiple different cultures based on religion, ethnicity, nationality, and other factors that have different attitudes and outlook. So if if we're gonna observe, or if we could notice each of the community where us individual belongs, we do practice different culture, right? Like people living in zone, some of us might be having different culture, different language, different religion. So definitely, if that is the case, as someone who knows how to communicate purposively, definitely should have this awareness, which is cultural awareness. So, cultural awareness and sensitivity guidelines are as follows. The first one, view human difference as positive and a cause for celebration. Have a clear sense of your own ethnic, cultural, and racial identity. Be aware that in order to learn about others, you need to understand and be prepared to share your own culture. Be aware as well of your own discomfort when you encounter differences in race, color, religion, sexual orientation, language, and ethnicity. Be aware of the assumptions that you hold about people of different cultures from your own. That's kind of risky. Be aware of your stereotypes as they arise and develop personal strategies for reducing the harm that they cause. Be aware of how your cultural perspective influences your judgments about what appropriate, normal, or superior behaviors, values, and communication styles are. Well, most of us or some of us, excuse me, are having this habit that we think that the culture that we practice is the standard, the culture that we practice is correct. Well, we somehow need to cancel that kind of perspective because that might influence the judgment that we could give or we could have to that certain person or people who are practicing that culture. Next, it'll be accept that in cross-cultural situations there can be uncertainty, and that uncertainty can make you anxious. It can also mean that you do not respond quickly and take the time needed to get more information. And number nine, take any opportunity to put yourself in places where you can learn about differences and create relationships. Always use that opportunity for you to learn new things and not to judge or to harm anyone. Next one, understand that you will likely be perceived as a person with power and racial privilege, and that you may not be seen as unbiased or biased or as an ally. So definitely, um, we shouldn't be that ignorant with these things because nowadays, intercultural communication is indeed emerging or indeed happening. So definitely that if that is the case, we badly need to have this awareness and have this sensitivity. So talking about sensitivity, we're gonna have the gender sensitivity and gender neutral words. So when we say gender sensitive language, it is the realization of gender equality in written and spoken language. This can be attained when women and men are those who do not conform to the binary gender system are made visible and addressed in language as persons of equal value, dignity, what else? Integrity and respect. When you say general neutral words, these are as follows, or these are the examples. So instead of saying forefathers to make it that equal, just use the term ancestors or forebears. Or instead of saying man-made, why not artificial or manufactured? Instead of saying common man, why not average or ordinary person? Instead of saying chairman, why not chairperson, coordinator? Or instead of saying ladylike, why not courteous or cultured? So in that manner, you aren't that being biased in a in a certain gender. We also have this term, the political correctness and words that can be used as we try to express our sensitivity or being gender and cultural sensitivity. It is used to describe language policies or measures that are intended to avoid offense or disadvantage to the members of particular groups in society. Some words may be used for political correctness are as follows: academic dishonesty instead of cheating, aesthetically challenged instead of ugly, black instead of negra, comfrey instead of bald, differently abled instead of disabled, drug dependent instead of drug addict, dysfunctional family instead of broken home, economically marginalized instead of poor, elderly, senior, or experienced instead of old, and ethnically disoriented instead of dishonest. Talking about the culture, let's have the high context and low context culture. All right, so to start with, let's have the high context cultures. So when you say someone is practicing or this community is practicing the high context culture, most of the people leave much of the message unspecified. More likely, they expect message to be understood through context and nonverbal cues, tone of voice, and between the lines interpretation. Like they aren't expressing the message directly or aren't expressing the message or convey the message um, um, in a more clear manner because they expect that once they say this certain line, that person that they're talking with will be able to understand that immediately. Like for example, the Filipino in Filipino culture, we somehow into pagpaparinig. Like whenever we do that, we expect that the person that we are pertaining to, whenever do the parinig thing, would understand right away that hey, that and understood quickly that she is or he is the person that you're pertaining to. Or some of the high context culture with the with when it comes to food, like whenever we think or whenever we see that there is this one piece of chicken left in the bucket, we are not going to we are not getting that piece because we think that once I get this piece, someone will or they will think that I am that this too hungry or I'm kind of madupang with food because that's the intended thing about that, or it's just somehow nakakahiya. Okay, so that's high context culture. Like you aren't expressing much of your words, but then again, they will be able, or that someone you're talking with will be able to understand quickly. While the low context culture, they expect messages to be explicit and specific and to be more verbally expressed. Next one, let's talk about the time. We have the sequential. those people who are sequential, they are thinking that time is a linear commodity, or line is just a line, or it seems like a line wherein it has its beginning, it has its ending. Here they move in a fast-paced manner, maximize time with productive activities, and always arrive early on appointments and often make final decisions, or they are so decisive, and they always say that they have to rush because their time is up. While with a synchronic one, time is an open-ended source. They believe that there is this past, there is this present, and there will be future, and there will be next time. They are somehow indecisive in terms of giving, decisions, because they consider a lot of things like the feelings of that person and the likes. Lastly, we have the affective people who readily show emotions, like they are kind of emotional, and they are that vocal with how they feel. While with the neutral, they are careful, and they are that controlled, and somehow they don't want their emotions be obvious in their face, so they just wanted to act neutral at all. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for